Hey, what's up, you beautiful people? Welcome to another video. In today's video, we're going to talk about Adobe Photoshop. This is the complete tutorial from beginning to an expert when it comes to Adobe Photoshop. Quick things. First of all, why should you learn Adobe Photoshop in today's age? In case you're not yet convinced, Adobe Photoshop is one of the most powerful tools when it comes to photo manipulation out there, compared to Canva and compared to other softwares out there. There's even softwares in the Adobe suite of products that allows you to manipulate photos and allows you to create designs, but I believe Adobe Photoshop is one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful, and the easiest one to learn, and you'll see why. Second of all, why should you watch my videos when it comes to Adobe Photoshop? Simple. I'm not an expert on Adobe Photoshop. What? Exactly, you heard me right. I'm not an expert in Adobe Photoshop. I'm not here to give you a 2-hour long tutorial going in depth about Adobe Photoshop. I'm here to give you exactly what you need, not more, not less, in order to get started with this amazing software. You know, I have been able to work with amazing clients, travel to amazing places, be able to create really cool projects online, be able to sell those projects and those products from the comfort of my own home, and doing other things like, you know, buying your dream car. And I even talked about it on this channel. Now, I'm not telling these things to brag or to impress you, but rather to make an impression upon you that it is possible once you understand the skills necessary in order to make it happen. And Adobe Photoshop and graphics design is one of those essential skills in today's age. So without any further of ado, come take a look over my shoulders and let's talk Adobe Photoshop. Alright, so first things first, you need to download and install Adobe Photoshop. I believe here, let me check. I'm working with Adobe Photoshop version 23.0.1. So if you need a tutorial on how to download and install Adobe Photoshop, just let me know down in the comments and I'll be more than happy to create that video. Now, once you have installed Photoshop, one of the easiest ways to actually import projects or start creating and manipulating photos, you can just go on to your photos that you want to work with and just drag it and drop it right here onto the program. It's going to go ahead and just import this image. You can start going through and manipulating that photo, but that is not what we're going to do. All the tutorials in here is going to start with an image and show you the tools that you need in order to manipulate that image. We're going to do something more interesting. We're going to start with a real world project. I'm going to start with something that can actually get you paid right now, and that is creating thumbnails. You probably don't know this, but thumbnails is one of those skills that it is very, very important in this YouTube game. A lot of YouTubers are paying top dollars for a great quality design when it comes to thumbnails, because think about it, a good thumbnail is what people is going to eventually click on in order to watch your videos. If you're not clicking and watching your videos, your channel will not succeed. So that introduces a new way to create projects inside of Adobe Photoshop, and that is, if you go here to the top, let's select file, I'm going to select file new, and I'm going to create a thumbnail. I'm going to call this just for references, and you can actually just go ahead and do this. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to search. So as you can see here, it says the resolution should be 1280 by 720. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to put right here 1280 by 720. Perfect. So now I'm going to go in and start designing my thumbnail. And here we have a blank canvas. And what you can do is you can just turn this on and off. And this is a default. If you have a PNG photo, this is default background that you have in there. So before we dive in, let me just show you a little bit around. So over here on your left side of the screen, you're gonna have all the tools here that you need to manipulate the photos. On the top, you have the defaults here. You have some views. On the top here, you have more buttons, more menus you can go into. And here on the right side, you have some more tools right here on this bar. And then you have your histogram and navigator, which is something really, really neat that you're probably gonna need in the future. And most important of all, you have your layers. Photoshop works in layers, as you're about to see. I'm about to show you exactly what that means. First things first, I'm going to put a background here. I'm going to put a background image. So I am going to just drag and drop this image right here. Don't ask me why I have an image of a galaxy back here. I just love stars and galaxies and stuff. So I'm just going to put it right here for the time being. And let me actually show you the tools. This tool right here is the move tool. Basically all you have to do, as long as your layer here is selected, you can just click on it, drag it around, right? And this is the concept of layer. Behind this top layer right here, there is the other layer, the background that we initially have by default. So if I have this layer here selected and I'm clicking and I'm using the tools to drag, what you can see is Photoshop is going to go directly on the layer that I have here selected. So in the previous version of Photoshop, it didn't do that. This is a new update, which is really neat. So for example, if I have this side by side, if I click on this, Photoshop is going to automatically select this layer because that's what I clicked on. And if I click here, you're going to see this layer here selected, right? So sometimes you might try to manipulate this layer here and you think that you're working with this layer, but you forget that, you know, you're actually on a different layer, which is something that happens often and just comes with practice. Okay, so I'm just going to drag it here. I'm just going to drag everything to the center. And you have these lines right here to guide you. See, that's the middle right there, vertically, horizontally in this case. And then you can just position that like so. And if for whatever reason you're not able to see those lines and those guides, all you have to do is go here into view. And you can see here, show, there's edges, there's the grid, there's pixel grid, and one of the best ways for you to actually be able to do that is just play with it. For example, if I show you the grid here, you have this grid that will give you a visual guide. Sometimes I have that off because it's a little bit distracting. You can use that to kind of position your images in the perfect place. Then you can go back and turn the grid off. So I'm going to go back into view, show grid. You have the check mark next to grid. I'm just going to click on it and it's going to remove it. So again, that is the move tool right here. This is the select tool. What it allows you to do is just simply select a certain area here of your image. For example, if I select this area, sometimes here you will see you have this little icon next to your images. That is because it is a smart object that will not allow you to manipulate that layer. So what you can do is you can just right click on it. I believe it's rasterized. English is not my first nor my second language, so bear with me here. But once you click on it, that icon will disappear and it will allow you to actually manipulate that image. Because if you don't do that, for example, if I go back and you see you have that icon in there, what you can do is once you have the area selected, you can, for example, select inverse, right? If I want to work with just that area, you can select the inverse and then you can press delete. But it doesn't allow me to do that because this is a smart object and it's not directly editable. So it's going to go back, rasterize the layer, and now I can press delete and it's going to delete everything else around it, right? Not really what I want to do, but I'm just going to show you that. So I'm going to go back to, and again, this is something very neat. Right here, you can have all your history. Everything that you've done to manipulate the photos is going to be right here neatly. And all you have to do, you can just go back. You can use Control-Z on the Windows, for example, or you can just go back here and just start working backwards, which is really neat. So the select tool, you can also do a right click and you have different examples right here. And for example, if you press and hold Control Shift, you can create a perfect circle if you have the elliptical selected, right? Same thing applies here. If I go back to a rectangle, I can create a rectangle, or what I can do is I can press and hold Shift and I can create a perfect square, right? Like so. This tool right here allows you to easily select things like this with just your mouse, and there you go. There you go. You have a perfect selection of, you know, like so. And this tool right here is the quick selection tool. What it allows you to do is actually here, let me show you a better example. I'm gonna go here on the tab. I have two tabs open. I have this one here with my thumbnail that I'm working on, and I also have this other image right here. So for example, if you have the quick selection tool, as you can see here, boom, it just selected the wheels, the white walls of the wheels, just like that. I didn't actually have to do anything. Because if we didn't have that tool, what we have to do is we have to actually zoom in and go and select this wheel little by little, right? But this tool, just as long as you click on the object, you can go around and start selecting things. And over here, as you can see, it selected this bar here. If I don't want this bar, what I can do is you can go back here and select the negative one, and I can just remove certain areas. around it, right? It's a smart object. It'll try its best to try to guess what area you're selecting, but if that's not working out, what you can do is you can use this pen tool right here, because a lot of times when it comes to Photoshop manipulation, a big part of it is actually extracting people and trying to put different backgrounds, try to extract different objects from an image that we need. I'm gonna go here, I'm going to delete this, and for example, let's say I want to just select my shoe for whatever reason. So I'm just going to zoom in here, and I'm using Control Plus on a Windows. I'm going to right click. I'm going to delete the path. For example, what I can do is, if I want to select this triangle here on my shoe, I can do this. I can use that to manipulate it. I can go like this, like that. And boom. What I'm going to do is I'm going to right click here. I'm going to turn this into, I'm going to make a selection out of it. 0 pixels. And there you have it, right? So I'm going to go back to my layers. This is locked. I'm just going to remove the lock right here. And I'm going to select my selection tool, and I can do this. I can select inverse and delete it. And there you have it. I have my little triangle of just a shoe that I can use, right? So it's a neat tool that you can use to remove things from use different backgrounds. So let's go back to our thumbnail, right? Let's go back to our main project. There's all these different tools right here. I'm going to show you the purpose of all of them by actually working on the project. Cool. So a good thumbnail sometimes has a creator's face on it or a picture of a person that they can recognize. So I'm gonna put my handsome face in here when my face wasn't attacked by all this acne. And what I'm going to do is I am going to select me out of this image so I can have the background of the stars, or I can have any different background. So let's try to manipulate this image to extract us from that background. Now, in order to accomplish that, I'm going to use the quick selection tool here. Now, this tool has a very interesting feature. You see here, you have this ability to select subject, and let's click on it. Perfect. You see how it automatically outlines the subject from the background. A lot of times if you have an image with the background that just has too much going on, what you have to do is, again, use this pen tool right here as I demonstrated before, and just go around and just select the person little by little. But here it worked flawlessly. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select inverse and I'm going to delete, but it won't let me do that because this is not a editable object yet. So what I'm going to do again is go here and rasterize layer, and now delete. Look at that. So I'm going to deselect that. I'm going to select my move tool here, and I can move this image freely, right? Okay, cool. So now I want to put a Photoshop logo in there to show people that can easily recognize a logo. So I'm going to look for a Photoshop logo. I'm going to again drag it and drop it right here. And I'm going to use this right now to just select the right size. There you go. And voila, right? So now let's get creative with this, okay? Right here, there's a very, very interesting tab that allows you to manipulate this photo even further. So if you click here on the FX, you can have all kinds of different options. So I want to create a shadow in this image to kind of create more distance between me and the background. So I'm gonna go here to drop shadow. I don't know if you probably saw that already, but here what you can do is I can manipulate the size of the shadow. I can create the color that I want my shadow to be in. So I can create this red shadow, or what I can do is I can use, if I go here into my image, it's going to automatically create that drop tool right here that I can create different colors. So I have the blue, I can get the white right here, I can get that beautiful brown right there, and I should have a brown right there. You probably can't notice it, but if I up the opacity here, you have this brownish shadow, right? I want my shadow to be a color of a shadow, which is, there you go. So you probably can see it here, but I'm going to use this and make it even more noticeable. If I can spread it a little bit, you can see that, right? Can make it a little bit smaller. So now it becomes kind of a outline. You see sometimes on the thumbnails on YouTube, you have the white outline on the subject. This is one of the methods that you can use to achieve that. But I'm going to use my shadow here. I'm going to make it bigger. I'm going to spread it a little bit less, like so. You can also control the distance right here, and you can use the angle right here that you want your shadow to be in, right? So I'm just gonna leave it at right there. So there's no rules, there's no laws. Once you understand the tools, you can just use them to your creative will. So one of the quick things that I might do, actually, I can use a stroke. And this is exactly what creates that outline. This is a better way of creating the outline. So you can have that outline plus the shadow. So for example, I'm gonna stroke it with a white color over here, and then I'm gonna make the size a little bit smaller. And while we're here, I'm gonna show you, you can put the position on the outside or on the inside. That looks really weird. Or on the center, so on and so forth. But usually I have it on the outside. So I have the stroke right there, and also I have the shadow. So now you can see you can see a more distance between the background and the subject. So it's gonna go here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna press Control T on a Windows. It's gonna bring this up, and I'm going to scale my image right here. If you don't want your images to scale accordingly, what you can do is you can go here on this side. See here, it's still going to go accordingly. You can press Shift, and it's going to scale this way or that way. But that's not what I want, so I'm just going to go ahead and scale it accordingly. And what you can also do is you can rotate the image a little bit. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to leave it right here. I'm going to do the same thing with my Photoshop as well. Now, another big part of the Adobe Photoshop is the ability to use text, or another big part of design in general is the ability to use text. So right here you have the text tool. So what you can do is you can have vertical text tool, horizontal text tool. You can just click on any area and start typing, or what you can do is you can pre-select, for example here, a square. So in this area here, whatever I type is only gonna type in the specific box. It's not gonna go anyplace else, right? So what I'm gonna do is I want a little bit more of freedom. So I'm just gonna type here. I'm just gonna let it drop there. I'm just gonna start typing. So, okay. Sometimes I can spell for crap, so I have to always double check my spelling. Okay, so see what I did there? For me, it's easy. But if you do a triple click, you can select all the text, even the text that is outside of the canvas right now, because the text is too big to actually fit on the canvas. So I'm gonna go here. Once the text is selected, and by the way, to zoom in and out, a easy shortcut is to use Control- to zoom out, or Control+ to zoom in. I'm going to use this right here. You can put in, the size of your text if you know, for example, 22 or 21. For example, 22. It's gonna automatically go to 22, or you can do this easily like so. Now let's talk text manipulation. So it's gonna go here. First things first, I'm gonna select the color of the text. I want to make it white, like so. You can also select the font. Bold, like so. And this font only comes in regular, but if you have a font that has, for example, if I select this font here, I can have all different types of, So now I'm going to go back to this font that I really like. I'm just going to go here. I'm going to press there. I'm going to press enter. Just if you have a traditional, just if you're typing on Word, you can just press backspace. It's going to go, and you can press space, or you can press enter. It's going to default go to the other line. Now As you can see here, if I press enter, it's gonna have that big gap in there. I don't want that. So what I can do is you have an additional manipulation right here that you can have. So I'm gonna press on this bar right here when it comes to characters, like so. And I'm going to make sure that all my text is selected. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this right here to bring it closer or further. And you can use this to manipulate the whole paragraph. For example, you have it there. Or you can manipulate the size, the metrics. You can make it all caps or like so. Right, but you can use this additional tab here to manipulate your text. So I want the top to be in a specific font, and I want the bottom one to be on a different font. So I'm going to leave the top as it is. I'm going to go here on the bottom, and I'm going to select. Let's do a poppets. I like poppets, although they look very similar. But with this, I'm going to do a very bold. Actually, no, let's do black. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, like so. And by the way, as you can see here, as I scale this up, it's going to get closer to each other. What I can do is I can scale it up and go here and make it further apart. Or what I can do is I can scale it back down, make sure it's far apart. And what I can do is I can use this tool here again, if you remember that. And I'm going to press Control T on the Windows. I can just scale this. And if I do it this way, I can make it as big or as small as I want, and it's not going to get closer to each other. Now, as you can see here, we have the layers right here, one on top of each other. We have the background layer, we have the image, we have the logo, and on top we have the text, right? So what I want to do is now I want to put everything into perspective. So I want to take this layer here, I'm going to drag it below the logo but above the image, like so. Actually, let me put that behind the image a little bit. Okay, perfect. It gives a sense of depth, but also it's now on top of, you can still understand that it's a complete tutorial, like so, but you don't have to see the entire images. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing to the text. I'm going to select my text right here. I'm going to go here to the FX, drop shadow, and there you go. I'm gonna manipulate this. Let me try this again. Control T. Make it like this. Let's see how that works. All right, and the last thing we need to do is just export that image. What you can do is you can just go here into File and click on Export. You can do a quick export as a PNG, or you can export as. It's gonna bring up this menu right here, and I'm going to select my format. I actually want this to be in JPEG. And then export. All right, so I think we're gonna stop right here. I don't want to make this video too long or too complicated, but this is gonna be the foundations, really the top tools you're gonna need to create thumbnails and websites and designs and graphics and stuff like that for your projects or for your clients. Let me know if you want a video more about photo manipulation and coloring and so on and so forth. There's a bunch of stuff you can do with Photoshop. If you need, or if you want more tutorials in Adobe Photoshop, let me know what you want in the comments below, and I'll be more than happy to make that video and help you in your journey. Now, before you go, I need you to bring it in a little bit closer and listen. I want you to get out there and crush it. Have the best day of your life. And if you happen to be watching this at night, just relax, sleep like a baby, take it easy, because tomorrow you're going to crush it. Can you promise a random stranger on the internet that? Yeah? Great. Oh, hey, it's me again. Thank you so much for watching my video again. If you are interested in turning your creative skills and designs into a business without having subscribers or followers and likes and so on and so forth, here's my complete tutorial on YouTube ads and how I use YouTube ads to actually sell products online and make an income. Go watch it right now, learn something from it, and you can thank me later.